This is the NFL Week 16. That's right, Week 16 preview show. We have about as big of a Thursday night game as we've ever had with teams with these records in the same division. That's the Rams and the Seahawks this evening for the Prime Video game. And this game is going to be huge in determining who the division winner is and very possibly who the number one seed will be. Will the NFC have to go through Los Angeles, or will the NFC go through Seattle? And that's very different because the Rams have no home field advantage. I know that well being a 49ers fan. The Rams have absolutely no home field advantage being in Los Angeles, being inside, and almost any fan base that's a strong fan base can take over SoFi Stadium. The Seahawks, while it's not the home field advantage it used to be there in Seattle, it's still a home field advantage. It's not what the crowd was when it was the days of the Legion of Boom going back over 10 years ago. That was one of the great home field advantages we've ever seen in the NFL. It's not that, but it is a much bigger home field advantage than anything you'd get for the Rams. And the big story for this one is you could say the quarterbacks. It always comes down to quarterbacks. What about Davante Adams and his injury, the hamstring injury? The last report I'm seeing is he's still listed as doubtful. I can't imagine he's really playing in this. I'm seeing this again, going through all the reports here. It says he's doubtful. I just don't see how he's going to play and how you're going to put him at risk in this one. So I'm going to expect him not to play, which really leaves all the attention on Stafford getting the ball to Puka Nacua, who's one of the best receivers in the NFL. That's the good news for the Rams. Can the Seahawks take him away and just focus on taking him out of the game and forcing Stafford to now go to secondary or third options out there? And Stafford probably will win the MVP. This is a big game for Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold has not played well in primetime games. He's not played well in big games with the Vikings. And generally with the Seahawks, I mean, you could say, he really played well against the Commanders, but the Commanders are a bad football team this year. They were a very good football team last year. It's a totally different story this year. If everyone's healthy, the Rams are the better team. And so much of the time, it does just come down to the quarterbacks. Darnold's certainly more physically gifted than Stafford, but Stafford is playing at a much higher level, and he's, for this season, not turned the football over, but he has been turning the football over more lately. I mean, he was going to come back a little this season. I mean, he's hardly thrown any interceptions this year. I still like the Rams. I still like the Rams as a better all-around football game, but this is going to be a very close one. Who's going to make less mistakes at quarterback? And I still have to believe it's the Rams. I mean, they won last week against the Lions, and the Seahawks were at home, and they almost lost to the Colts. They had to go right down to the end to beat the Colts with Philip Rivers, who has been out of football for years, and he's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. But that was a very unimpressive win for the Seahawks, and I don't think the Seahawks have been playing as well. Actually, both these teams have not been playing as well of lately. I see the Rams winning this. It's going to be close by 3 to 7 points. I just say that they've got the better quarterback, and I still think they've got better head coach of the two teams. McDonald, I mean, the Seahawks have a lot to prove. They've done very well, but they have a lot to prove. You can look at the last time they played in Los Angeles, and the Rams won. They won in a close one, even though Stafford outplayed Darnold, and Darnold had a very bad game. I believe he threw 4 picks. He may have even had more turnovers than that. He may have had 5 turnovers, but he had 4 interceptions, from what I recall. And the Seahawks almost won the game. You can look at it like that. I still like the Rams. I think the Rams is possibly and arguably the best team in not only the NFC but the NFL. Again, not surprised if the Seahawks win though. And we'll see what the offense will look like when Davante Adams is not in there. On to the Saturday games, and as far as Thursday night football goes, I don't like it. The quality of game usually isn't great. You don't get a lot of memorable games on Thursday night football. My belief is Thursday games should only be reserved for Thanksgiving, and that's it. It's not going to change, I know. But one thing I've always been a fan of is I like these Saturday games. Once college football has been put aside, Saturday makes sense. You only have one less day of rest, right? You're generally going to get better quality games. And the NFL obviously doesn't care about the quality of the product. They're only looking for ratings. And you can see that with so many of the decisions that have been made. But I am a big fan of Saturday football. And I like it when my team games are scheduled on Saturdays. It works better for me often, as long as you don't have to work. Eagles and Commanders. This should be a game where the Eagles win comfortably, even though they haven't played well. I mean, wow, the Raiders. The Raiders are a train wreck, and you couldn't really take a lot from the game that the Eagles won at home against the Raiders last week. The Commanders aren't as bad as the Raiders, but you're not going to learn a lot about the Eagles and where they're at exactly from this one either, unless they somehow throw up all of themselves and lose. I just can't imagine that happening. But certainly like the Eagles. But the Saturday night game is the big game, and that's the Packers and Bears. They just played each other. I don't like this when they have games between the same teams this close. Can you space it out just a little more? What's different in Chicago, and you don't usually get the primetime games in Chicago between the Packers and the Bears. It's always almost at Lambeau Field. We know the Packers won the last game, and man, that Caleb Williams interception at the end was awful. It was unnecessary, and he lost them the game. It looked like the Packers were going to have a comfortable win. The Bears really played well in the second half and almost came back to win. So much so, I thought when the Bears got down there and knowing how aggressive they are, if they got a touchdown, I thought they were going to go for 2 and win it. But of course, we didn't actually get to see it. But the final score in that one, it was only 2 weeks ago, was 28-21 Packers. Now, there's no number one, Micah Parsons, number one. There's no Micah Parsons for the Packers, and that's going to change their defense. They look like, on paper at least, the same team they were last year, minus they don't have Kraft at receiver, or at tight end. Well, to me, he's more of a receiver. Now they've lost their big game changer on defense, and their defense is quite ordinary now. Jordan Love is having a better season statistically than he had last year. He's just streaky. Some weeks he does look like one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. I mean, you see he has all the talent. He has the tools. He's big, he's athletic, he makes difficult throws look easy. But he has these bad games that happen often enough that are real head scratchers. It's just consistency. What if he could be more consistent, he would be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He'd be a top 10 quarterback. He's not, to me, maybe he's at the bottom half of the top 10, but he'd be arguably a top 5 quarterback if he was just a little more consistent because he's very talented. Jordan Love. Who's going to win this one? And the Bears, Caleb Williams has had a very good season. He's not turning the football. Actually, both of these quarterbacks are not turning the ball over. And if they had Parsons and the Packers didn't lose last week to the Broncos, I think that was just it's a very difficult game to bounce back with. Yeah, I could see this one going in either direction. I'm going to say Bears. I'm going to say Bears. To win at home, Bears win at home, getting one of the biggest wins that they've had in years. And a win for the Bears would have them right back there at the top of the NFC and right there with the Seahawks and Rams for the number 1 seed. I mean, right now, after all, they are the number 2 seed in the NFC, only trailing the Rams. So if the Rams lose, say tonight, and the Bears win, look at that. And you can't say enough about the job Ben Johnson's done with the Bears in this first season. They're 10-4. And he doesn't necessarily have the players he wants, right? I mean, Caleb Williams is not necessarily the quarterback he wants, but look at the improvement and the strides he's made under a new coach. And we know how bad quarterback play has been in Chicago for most of our lifetimes, really. I mean, how far back you have to go to see a great Bears quarterback? Sid Luckman. I mean, that's what we're talking about. A great Bears quarterback. But that game may very well determine the division. The Bears can win that. And you know what? The Packers, what's still hurting the Packers is that tie to the Cowboys. That is still hurting the Packers. Bills at Browns. Well, it should be a very comfortable win for the Bills. But the Bills also have some head-scratching games as well because this whole season's been a season of great inconsistency around the entire NFL. I mean, you just don't know what to expect week to week, and I don't like it. I'm okay with there being some upsets here and there. I'm okay with a surprise team or two. But for this whole league, I mean, I was sitting there saying, well, how do you even make a top 10 quarterbacks for this season? I don't know, because I usually base it off 2 seasons. I put 2 seasons together when I rank my quarterbacks. And just to do it off this crazy season, man, it is hard trying to determine that. But the Bills should win, and they should win comfortably on the road. The Chargers and the Cowboys. Think about the Chargers, they had 2 big wins in a row. At home against the Eagles, the overtime game, and then also eliminating the Chiefs. Eliminating the Chiefs. I mean, that was the game I was able to watch. It was really an historic game, a very historic game to see the Chiefs go down like that. Not only defeated, not only eliminated on their home field at that point in week 15 and be in uncharted territory with Reed, Mahomes, and Kelsey. But then see Mahomes go down, injured, and then you learn, okay, he's done for the season. Then on top of it, it's not just any injury. It didn't just simply end his season. That would have been bad enough. He tore his ACL. I mean, he most likely he's a tremendous athlete and worker, but it's not realistic to expect him to be back at the start of next season. He will most likely miss. It could be 4 games, could be 6 games, could be 8 games for Mahomes coming back. And he's not going to be coming back to a good team either. This is a team that has holes to fill. They need to get better on defense. They need a better offensive line. They need new playmakers. Not the team's all bad. But there's a lot that needs to change with the Chiefs. And I'm not here to beat up on the Chiefs. The Chiefs beat my team, the 49ers, twice in Super Bowl. So I wasn't laughing at the Chiefs. I didn't take great pleasure in the Chiefs. I respect the Chiefs. And I tip my cap to a team that's been great. It's been on one of the greatest runs in football history. A team that is a dynasty. Well, was a dynasty now. Has an incredible head coach, top 5 coach of all time, in Andy Reid. Top 5 quarterback of all time. I'd probably say top 3 quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, top 2 or 3 tight end of all time. I mean, they are one of the most significant teams, one of the greatest runs we've seen. They're up there with the other dynasties throughout the years, and we wouldn't have thought there would be a team like this that come along this fast after the Patriots. I was reflecting on that in the NBA too, where the Warriors had such a great run, and you had a few years with other champions, and here come the Thunder. But it's no mistake that the Thunder came around because of all those draft picks, and they used the draft picks wisely. They accumulated all those picks. They were down, and this is a team that looks like they could either get 70 games or even go for, I don't know, 74, 75 wins. It's amazing that just as the Patriots came to an end, immediately we had the Chiefs. I mean, it was even faster than what we saw in the NBA. Even though Brady's always going to have that on Mahomes, that they got that Super Bowl. He got that Super Bowl on the Chiefs. And they played each other one time head to head in the Super Bowl at one time, and Brady won. And Brady won big time over Mahomes and the Chiefs. But it's ridiculous how people have turned on Mahomes. People need to have a little more perspective. People are not students of history and really any field that they're in. In sports, there's very little perspective. People are prisoners of the moment. They don't look at history. They don't look at anything other than the present, really. And everyone got so lost in saying, oh man, if Mahomes wins this and the Chiefs win this, they're arguably the greatest dynasty of all time. No, they wouldn't be. Let's just say if they did beat the Eagles and Mahomes would be the greatest quarterback. There are many people who said that Mahomes would be the greatest quarterback in having a three-peat because it's never happened before. Brady didn't even do it. Mahomes would be greater than Brady. I'm like, no. Let me know when he has at least 5 Super Bowls before we have that conversation. 7. Okay, won 7 Super Bowls. Mahomes is 3. But even if he had the 4th, I was saying, like, slow down, people. Let his career actually play out before we're really doing a deep discussion and debate about who's better, Mahomes or Brady. And, my thought about all of it and my opinion about it is that Mahomes is the third greatest quarterback in NFL history, and he still has the greatest start of a career of anyone, anyone by age 30. I mean, you look at Brady by age 30, he won 3 Super Bowls as well. He played in 4 Super Bowls, and his fourth Super Bowl at age 30 was the 16-0 season where the Patriots lost. But I don't see Mahomes playing nearly as long as Brady. I don't see Mahomes having late career success like Brady because I feel athleticism was it's a much bigger part of Mahomes' game. Obviously, Brady never moved really well. He moved well in the pocket, good footwork, obviously very intelligent, but running and extending plays is a very large part of Patrick Mahomes' career. Extending plays, and this injury could really change things. We'll see. He'll be a year older, and we'll see how he comes back from this. And sometimes you even said, with Mahomes, like sometimes just go down. Just go down. Don't extend the play. Sometimes it's smart just to get down. Take the sack. Don't put yourself in the place of injury. But yeah, getting back to this whole, where does Mahomes belong? That, I was saying to people last year around the Super Bowl, saying, well, if Mahomes wins, of course he's an all-time great, but it doesn't make him the greatest of all time. And he gets that three-peat, saying, okay, he is not on Brady's level. Win or lose, he's not on Brady's level. Now, it's gone so far in the other direction that you almost have to defend Mahomes and say, hey, guys, look at this. He's been to 5 Super Bowls. By the time he was about 29, 30 years old, he got to 5 Super Bowls. He won 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 league MVPs. His statistics are excellent. Regular season, playoffs, he's accomplished. I mean, I feel he already surpassed Peyton Manning by the time he was 29 or 30 among the all-time greats. And it seems like nationally people have really turned on Mahomes and are really down on him. And I don't see it that way. I think we've seen the best of Mahomes, but I would not be surprised to see him in a Super Bowl again. He may not be in a Super Bowl again, but even if he retires now, he's one of the greatest of the greats already. Yes. But it's very difficult for people to find sort of a middle ground with Mahomes. It's, they kind of take one extreme position or the other. And another thing about this too is this may be it for Andy Reid, maybe it for Travis Kelce. So it's possible that when Mahomes returns, it's without Kelce, it's without Andy Reid. Wow. I know it got off track a little bit there, but it really was a big Sunday for that. I mean, in some ways that was bigger than all the games because it really was history and we're in unfamiliar territory with the Chiefs. So the Chargers beat the Chiefs. And the Chargers have had a couple big wins, as we've mentioned. It was taking down the 2 Super Bowl teams from last year consecutively. That being the Eagles, an overtime win. And they did only win by 3 against the Chiefs. But wins are wins. And Jim Harbaugh has his shortcomings. He has his faults. I'm familiar with them. Very familiar with them. But man, he wins football games. There's no arguing that. Jim Harbaugh just wins. And he will get your teams to the playoffs. He wins everywhere he goes. That's what's true about Jim Harbaugh. And they're facing the Cowboys. And the Cowboys I want to remind people about the Cowboys, and I love dumping on the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 6-7-1. I'm going to repeat that. The Cowboys are 6-7-1, and they lost at home on Sunday Night Football to the Vikings. And they were going to come back down to earth a little bit. They were very hot. And I was saying to people that, hey, you know about the Cowboys is, and if we know anything about this, when the pressure's on, they don't play well. And this whole season is about the unpredictable, inconsistency, and why would the Cowboys be any different than these other teams? The way Tony Romo was talking about running the table on Thanksgiving and all this junk. I'm sitting there saying, right, the Cowboys are going to run the table. There was no defending the decision not to flex that game between the Vikings and the Cowboys when you're talking about at that time the Cowboys were a 6-6-1 team, a 500 team. Vikings were sub 500, and that's what I'm talking about when it came to ratings. That was just a decision simply made on ratings. Oh, we're not going to flex that game, the NFL said. We're not changing anything because it's the Cowboys. It doesn't matter who the Cowboys are playing, and it's in Big D. That's as good as it gets. It's just ratings. Well, the Cowboys lost, and I expect the Chargers to go in and take care of business against the Cowboys. Will be probably about a 7-point game, yes, but I like the Chargers. Bengals at Dolphins, I don't care, to be honest. Doesn't matter. Chiefs at Titans, at this point, I don't care either. These are games of no consequence. It's just now the Chiefs are on to life without Patrick Mahomes. I will say after watching Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward can play. He just needs better coaching and needs better players around him. He has talent. Jets at Saints. Man, there are some bad games on the schedule. No comment. Vikings at Giants. No comment. Buccaneers and Panthers going for the division. I cannot believe the Buccaneers last week lost the game they did. Man, the South is bad. They lost to the Falcons like they did in prime time, but then the Panthers as well. I don't know which was more shocking. The Falcons with Kirk Cousins going into Tampa Bay and defeating the Buccaneers, or the Panthers couldn't hold on and defeat the Saints. Unbelievable. Even in this season, you could not beat the lowly Saints. I mean, I was thoroughly unimpressed by the Panthers when they played the 49ers on Monday night. Everyone kept saying, oh, you got to take the Panthers seriously. You got to take the Panthers seriously. 49ers didn't even play well, and they won comfortably. I thought the 49ers played a C game, and they won really comfortably against the Panthers. Man, that division stinks. Jaguars at Broncos. Well, there you go. That's a good game. I will take the Broncos in Denver. They win close games. Probably another close one. Falcons at Cardinals. Another stinker. Steelers at Lions actually turns out to be one of the better games on the schedule. In some ways, I wouldn't have mind seeing that be the Sunday night game. Lions are holding on for life. Of course, the Lions right now are not even in the playoffs. They need a lot to go right just to get in, and they need to beat the Steelers. And the Steelers are the 4th seed in the AFC. I don't think they're hot at all. I think Lions win. I think Lions have their backs up against the wall, and the Steelers are just not a very good team. It's a pretty weak AFC, and the NFC is deeper. I mean, what does that tell you if the Lions do beat the Steelers? How much better the NFC is than the AFC? I just think the Lions are just straight up better than the Steelers. Raiders at Texans. Oh man, the Texans should smoke the Raiders like everybody. And then the Sunday night game, Eagles at Ravens. Patriots at Ravens. Patriots at Ravens. this feels like it's a big one because for the Patriots, they lost last week like they did at home against the Bills. I mean, they both won on the road against each other. The Patriots win in Buffalo. Super surprising when it happened. And then they lose at home against the Bills 35-31. And the Ravens have to really win. They need to win out. The Ravens also are on the outside looking in. You just wonder about the health of Lamar Jackson right now. How healthy is he? He's turning the football over a lot. And I've always made the point, if he can't run, it's not that I think Lamar can't play at all. It's not to say he's not just simply a runner. Not saying that at all. But if you make him more one-dimensional and he's not a threat to pull off the big runs, well, my question is then what do you have? Nothing more than a good quarterback? You don't have a great quarterback anymore. I like the Patriots close. But it is a good Sunday night game. And then finally, the Monday night game, 49ers and Colts. Philip Rivers is going to get a second start. Yeah, I think this could be a potentially high-scoring game. The 49ers have a bend don't break defense, which is hard to watch because I don't know what team has suffered two bigger injuries in recent memory on the same side of the ball as losing Nick Bosa and Fred Warner in the same season, because Fred Warner's been one of the healthiest star players in the league and one of those durable players. It was just one of those you're in the wrong place at the wrong time sort of injury. And then Nick Bosa, I mean, people can laugh about the Bosa brothers and their injuries, but man, oh man, when Nick Bosa's on the field, he is a great player. Seeing him every week, it's more than just sacks with Bosa and how many double teams he gets. And he's a complete defensive end. Pass, run. He's a great player. Losing both of them. And the Colts defense hasn't been particularly good either. The problem with the 49ers is they can't stop the run. And you're facing Jonathan Taylor, and you got a smart quarterback. Physically limited, yes, but a smart quarterback in Philip Rivers. I think it's going to be a tough game for the 49ers. I like the 49ers close. They have a better all-around team, but you're going to have to you're going to have to load the box, stop Jonathan Taylor, and say, okay, Philip Rivers, show us that you're the quarterback from 4 or 5 years ago. Or even more than that, and beat us. I think that has to be the strategy. Brock Purdy's been playing better, and I like Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy has a lot to prove. You know, he's being paid like one of the great quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. You know, he's like a top 10, if not a top 5 quarterback. You need to have big games on the big stage, and you know, he really regressed since the Super Bowl. Some of his injuries, yes, but decision making, turning the football over has been a problem for Brock Purdy. And the 49ers have not run the ball effectively the entire year. Christian McCaffrey is going to most likely have a 1,000 season, but it's been about quantity, not quality. I mean, they've been forcing him the ball all year long. I think he's the most talented running back the 49ers have ever had. McCaffrey. I mean, I think very, very highly of McCaffrey. It's not him. It's the offensive line is a bad run blocking O-line. They're playing well. They should win, but it's not going to be an easy win. And yeah, I think the problem with the Colts, too, thinking about them for a few moments, too, is, you know, right now They're on the outside. They have to get this win. But they have no solution at quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones was having a great year, but he came back down to earth as well as the season was going on. He's not a long term answer. Philip Rivers is just for this season. Anthony Richardson isn't it. They need someone else long term at quarterback. I mean, you're not really going to stick with Daniel Jones coming off this injury. You're going to have to go somewhere else. I mean, they're still in a bad place because of Andrew Luck. I mean, Andrew Luck should still be playing. He should be. But you've had Peyton Manning, you had Andrew Luck. He retires, you could say prematurely. Wow. Well, that's it for our kind of brief preview. Could have been much longer for week 16 of the NFL season. We'll see where we're at next week.